It's go time. It is go time as the playoffs begin in the Jamaica Premier League powered by Digicel. It's the first leg quarterfinals on the way, and Dunbeholden and Mount Pleasant will be first up on the agenda right here at Sabina Park. Wherever you're watching all over the world, we thank you so much for joining our coverage here on the Home of Champions. It's pretty cool. It says 30 degrees Celsius. I think it's a little bit cooler than that. The wind going at 20 kilometers per hour and humidity at 70%. But it is partly cloudy. Maybe the rains will visit us a little bit later on. Who knows? Not sure. But again, we're looking forward to the fixtures on tonight as we go into crunch time in the Jamaica Premier League. Yep. So these four teams will be contesting the quarterfinals. Dunbeholden and Mount Pleasant, Humberline and Harbourview today as well as next Monday. So the semi-finalists will be decided over 2 legs here, and it's going to be interesting to see who will join Arnett Gardens, the regular season winners, and Cavalier, who of course finished second. Let's now hear from the Dunbeholden camp as they prepare for this evening's encounter, and Jermaine Thomas in particular.
Coach Jermaine, one place to start. You're up against a team that you just defeated about a week ago, 3-1. Talk to me about the confidence level of the players and technical team coming into this one.
I mean, last week is last week. This week is a total different game, and I'm expecting it to be a very interesting one, intriguing one. I just can't wait to see it.
Well, you talk about being intrigued. We look at your last 6 match weeks. You've been playing like you're in a final to get into this playoff. Would you say that was a perfect preparation and scenario coming into this playoff?
I mean, last year we were in the finals. I mean, we would have maintained a large percentage of the players, and they know exactly when it reaches to this state of the competition, they really want to play. They want to be in the semi-finals. They want to be in the finals. Hence, we have been seeing a total different level of effort and energy from them.
7 times you've lost to teams in the top 6, current top 6. How is that playing on the mind of coaches, players? Did you even mention that coming into this one?
Not necessarily. I mean, that's history. I mean, it's a league. Some weeks you'll be having up time, sometimes down times, but we're not paying attention to that. What is important today is that we're here.
Nicoy Christian on his day, a really good player. He's one of the best passers in the league, Christian, but he has 3 goals to his name. Not quite as consistent as he was last term when he had some 14 assists. But he has scored probably the goal of the season, I can tell you that, in the regular season, Nicoy Christian. And he needs to turn up today in order for Dunbeholden to stand a chance against a powerful Mount Pleasant team. It's now time to hear from the Mount Pleasant camp, and in particular their head coach, Theodore Tapper-Whitmore.
Coach Whitmore, in your own words, the season just starts for Mount Pleasant, and you're saying the fans should expect a treat. Tell me what's on the menu with this treat today.
Well, again, all the games we have played now, we are coming down to the meat of the matter. You know, I think it's the top 6 in the country. You know, so we expect to bring our A-class game at this round.
Well, you talk about A-class game. Dunbeholden coming into this playoff, they probably are the form team. 5 wins in 6 games, and they just defeated your team 3-1 a week ago. Tell me what's going to be different about your team in terms of its shape, personnel, and approach to this one today to prevent that happening again.
Well, again, as I said before, we expected a tough game. This is the beaten finalists of last season. We are up again, so we expect to be firing in all departments this afternoon.
You talk about firing in all departments. Trevante Stewart, between round 17 and 25, just 2 goals. Is he ready to fire in this playoff?
Well, yes, the mood, not only Trevante, I think it's a overall, not any one player. You know, all the players, they are up for it. They know the task at hand, and I think we are in the mood for it this afternoon.
And Ricardo Morris is definitely our player to watch on the side of Mount Pleasant. He has 6 goals to his name so far this season, a veteran in this squad, in this starting lineup, and he's going to be playing in his deep playmaking role, and he needs to be accurate against this Dunbeholden team. Let's see how he comes to the fore this evening under the lights here at Sabina Park for Mount Pleasant. We take a break here from our coverage of the playoffs in the Jamaica Premier League, powered by Digicel. The crowd is building all the time, and we hope you stay with us for some wonderful football in action here at Sabina Park right after this break. These are the moments we're looking ahead to as we embrace for action here at Sabina Park. It's the quarterfinal first leg in the Jamaica Premier League as the playoffs begin. Of course, it's powered by Digicel. Dunbeholden against Mount Pleasant here in Kingston, Jamaica. Thank you so much for joining our coverage here on the Home of Champions as we take a look at the head-to-head. And in the very last game of the season, Dunbeholden, they needed victory over Mount Pleasant in order to get into the top six. They did beat them by 3-1. It was a come-from-behind win as well. Previously, Mount Pleasant had the 3-0 win. Dunbeholden, before that, also had a 3-1 win. And a couple of seasons ago, Mount Pleasant with the 5-2 victory over Dunbeholden. There are goals in this one usually. Dwight Jeremiah is my color commentator for today, and I'm just asking his thoughts on this matchup, this first leg quarterfinal. What are you thinking here?
Well, you said one thing, Donald. There's always goals between these two teams, and the last two times they met, 6 goals, well, 7 goals between these two teams. I expect that again today because these two teams know how to play. That's just one way, and that's getting goals. So I expect an exciting encounter. Mount Pleasant will feel like they have the score to settle. A lot of persons would have said that Dunbeholden, having just beaten Mount Pleasant 3-1 in the last round of the regular round, you expect that they would be confident as well, Dunbeholden. But Topper coach Whitmore said he's not bothered by it, and there was a lot of changes, 5 to be exact, that was made when they lost to Dunbeholden. They said they played probably their best football on the day, so they're not bothered by that result.
It is always interesting to me when someone says they played their best football and it ended in defeat, and it was a 3-1 defeat, which makes me wonder what they take from it. How would they improve against this Dunbeholden team?
Well, they looked at the game, and when in retrospect, in talking to the coach off here, he did say that they were working on other aspects of their game. Yes, they said the third goal that was scored by Dunbeholden on the day, Stephen Williams with a wicked free kick, that would have beat anybody in goal. But apart from that, few mistakes made, but they were just working on different phases of their game. And with the 5 changes, they feel they'll be right back in it. And we'll tell you a little bit more about those 5 changes when the team lineup is announced by you, Donald.
There is some history, of course, between these two teams. I will take a look at Nicoy Christian, and he certainly has to be the one to turn up to the party here. He's going to be instrumental in the middle of the park. But obviously, these two teams, they've shared players in the past. Mount Pleasant utilizing the services of a number of Dunbeholden players, especially in the aftermath of their relative success last year when they went all the way to the final.
And they felt that not just the players that were good, the management team was good as well. They took the manager from Dunbeholden as well, went across. So there are about 5 players, including the manager. So yeah, for sure, it's a flavor here where, I mean, it's a mixed team here, and you feel there are so many possibilities for subplots, so game within the game, and I think that's where the coaches now will have to manage their players so that it doesn't get down to that situation where you have little games within the game, knowing that there's so much familiarities between these two teams.
We're hearing that the Mount Pleasant custodian, Shaquan Davis, had to change his jersey.
I think it's socks. It's
socks.
It's in red. He was in red, which is what Dunbeholden is also wearing here. So I think he's going to continue with his full outfit. Is red. His jersey top and shorts is red, but his socks had to be changed to blue. Because at times referees, when they do make the call, it's based on the color of the socks that they quickly can decide which way it should go. So at a glance, they don't want the confusion.
Well, to be fair, this season we have to be picking out players by their socks as well, based on how small the numbers have been. But today shouldn't be an issue with Mount Pleasant in their full white and blue lettering and numbers, and Dunbeholden in full blue with, of course, their red stockings and white numbers as well. Dale Ritchie wears the captain's armband for Mount Pleasant. He's a resident really in the starting lineup for Mount Pleasant, and both teams made their way out to the middle, hoping to make an impact, hoping to draw first blood, hoping to make that mark in this first leg quarterfinal. Of course, 2 legs, the second leg on next week Monday right here at Sabina Park, and this will be the venue for the playoffs right up until the final.
Yeah, and you get a feeling too for Mount Pleasant, it really is, as Coach Whitmore said, the season starts for him, because he knows, based on the fans and the owner, the whole management of Mount Pleasant, it doesn't matter what they would have done in the regular round, even at they top the standing, it's about winning the title. Mount Pleasant really have been invested in winning the title. Yes, it's an academy, you expected to see a lot of players coming through the academy to the senior team. Not the case. They have gone for the quality, the experience out there it's telling you they really want to win the title. And for that, Coach Whitmore knows he's under pressure to bring it home.
Daniel Parchment is the man in the middle. He'll be assisted by Nicholas Anderson and Rolando Bennett. Stefan Dua is the fourth official. Ricardo Thomas, of course, on the right from Dunbeholden has joined Ladale Ritchie for the toss. And up next, we'll take a look at the starting lineups for both teams. Starting with Dunbeholden. And Damien Hyatt is between the six. They do have a back four of Ricardo Thomas, O'Dane Samuels, Sheboy Watkin, and Zachariah Wilkes, and Nicoy Christian, Shakeen Powell, Stephen Williams in the middle of the park. Up front, Dean Andre Thomas and Stephen Barnett.
When you look at that lineup, they're looking to play a 4-4-2, and there's no McCarthy, so you have Powell and Wilkes. Wilkes, normally in the centre-back position, is asked to play inside of the defensive midfield role, and expect a lot of energy from him inside there.
Shaquan Davis between the sticks, Kimani Campbell, Adele Ritchie, Melvin Doxley and O'Dane Murray. The back four, two holding in Sude McCullough and Ricardo Morris. Kimoni Bailey on the left, Dwight Merrick on the right. Demario Phillips will play behind the striker Trevante Stewart. 15 goals to his name so far this season.
They're looking to set up in a 4-2-3-1 system, and we talk about the changes coming in. Shaquan Davis was missing from that last game. They lost 3-1. So was Demario Phillips, also Kimani Bailey, Trevante Stewart and Ricardo Morris, all back in the lineup. So I mean, yes, they said they played their best football, but they've brought these quality in. They expect it to up a notch.
Well, it is going to be Dunbeholden to start off the proceedings here. And Parchment, the referee, seeking some help from Dwight Merrick with his equipment. And it seems as if most things are in place. Daniel Parchment is almost ready. And so are we. First leg quarterfinal action in the Jamaica Premier League. And the first quarterfinal gets on the way now. Dunbeholden with the action. Mount Pleasant going long immediately to the former Dunbeholden player in Kimoni Bailey, wanting to go all the way to the final again, this time with Mount Pleasant as his team. Of course, Dunbeholden with additional work this season in the back end of the competitions here. Of course, they are part of the Link Cup, which is the knockout competition. They would have competed on Friday, so not a lot of time for recovery, as Dean Andre Thomas was, I wouldn't say clipped, it's a little bit more than clipped by Kimani Campbell, but he appears to be okay. Dean Andre Thomas, 3 goals to his name so far this season, and they have a free kick early. Thomas looking to get on the end of it. Thomas to the byline, needs some support. James inside the area looking for Barnett. It was cleared out by Mount Pleasant. How important it is for Dunbeholden to start off early on a positive note.
You just mentioned something about them with the distraction of the Lynx Cup that they played on Friday, and you get the feeling that maybe not having a deep squad as much as a Mount Pleasant, who was not in action in that competition, that fatigue could set in later on. So yeah, a good start for them is important, because they might get a little bit leggy towards the end of it, and so would want to have a cushion, or some cushion in terms of goals, and to be able to sit deep and have something to defend.
Well, they have to defend now. A bit of a mistake there from their custodian, Damien Hyatt. McCullough. Well, we know that Melville Doxley is an all-rounded player, a utility player. We saw that in his days at Cavalier. There he is on the ball. He's been asked to play in the centre-back role. Jamoy Tope is actually on the bench for Mount Pleasant. So it's an interesting choice. We hear that he isn't injured.
No, I think it could be coming out of the last game as well. Dunbeholden's equalizer in that game did come from a Topi error. So maybe all round they did say they had a good game. Maybe in that he was probably the lowest grade in that team, and so maybe just lost his place because of his performance in that outing.
Free kick in favour of Mount Pleasant. Jermaine Thomas, of course, is the head coach of Dunbeholden. As he looks on to the action, and his former player Kimoni Bailey on it. Bailey unable to supply a pass, and action goes the other way. It was a good idea, I reckon, from Barnett trying to play Dean Andre Thomas into the fray, but Shaquan Davis saw it all the way. And Ladale Ritchie looking for progression. Again, it's another one of those long balls. Try to get Trevante Stewart into it. Christian touches it inside. Ball over the top. Looking again for Dean Andre Thomas, who does well to escape his marker. Thomas was trying to supply the line to Barnett, but a pivotal touch puts it behind for a corner kick.
Yeah, that was Dane Murray coming in there to bail Doxley out, because he wouldn't be pleased with that effort there just now. Mistime his challenge, and Thomas was bearing down on goal, looking very ominous there. And what do you feel without the intervention of Dane Murray? Shaquan Davis would have worked.
Here's a corner kick. Wasn't the best. Neither was a clearance, to be fair. Thomas couldn't quite control. Finally, it's hacked out of the penalty box. But early warning signs here that Mount Pleasant could be a little bit vulnerable at the back. And Shaquan Davis trying to slow things down.
Yeah, and on that occasion just now, Richie, not the quickest, loads of experience, but definitely not very quick. And so when Doxley went across, Richie was on the other side. It took Murray to really intervene there. But they have started in a bright way, Dunbeholden. Not Pleasant, they will want to get a spell of possession here.
The middle of the park is going to be critical. Williams is the one who wins it there to find Christian. And Powell looking to thread a pass through, and does. Powell looking for another option. Thomas is there. Williams was putting it into space for Thomas to run into. As Theodore Tapo Whitmore, the former national coach, former national player, most famous for his 2 goals scored in the 1998 World Cup
against Japan. He's in illustrious company. Not a lot of players get to score, let alone 2.
Not a lot of players have scored 1 goal. Some of the best players haven't been able to go to the World Cup, in fact.
Exactly. So, but I think that'll be a distant memory for him now. He's heavily focused on bringing silverware to Mount Pleasant. You get the feeling if he doesn't, there'll be a lot of talk about whether or not he should continue. Such is the nature of the business.
Especially the business at Mount Pleasant. They have invested so much in their squad over the years. But I get the impression that they went for different type of players this season, which is why they raided Dunbeholden, to be fair. They needed players with grit and determination, which Dunbeholden exhibited all of last season to go all the way to the final. And here they are coming forward. Williams robbed at the last minute. That's a late challenge. And it's a free kick in Stephen Williams' territory.
Yeah, I tell you, he scored last week against Mount Pleasant. Was the 3rd goal in the 3-1 win. And yeah, just late there, Makala. And Dunbeholden, well, Mount Pleasant just not looking so sure at the back. It was Phillips who couldn't get control of that one, Demario Phillips. And Makala felt that he had to commit And many said the free kick he scored last week, even our Andre Blake in goal, wasn't going to stop that one. He does pack a punch, Donald.
He does. He does. And the wall has been asked to go back a few, which I suggest would also be for their safety. It's a 4-man wall constructed by Shaquan Davis. Nicoy Christian is behind it as well, but I reckon this is old Stephen Williams. Let's see what happens here. Dunbeholden looking to get the advantage. Williams, always dangerous, and goes straight into the wall. Comes back out to Christian with the shot. That didn't have a lot of power on it at all. And it turns out to be a little bit anticlimactic there.
Yeah, and I think Shaquan Davis would realize as well, once you have Williams behind it, it's highly unlikely there's going to be a ding. So you can look to add a little extra brick in that wall.
Not sure there were a lot of volunteers as Trevante Stewart back towards goal, gets Kimoni Bailey into the action. Swept that one inside. Merrick gives chase. Morris trying to get there. And trying a bit of skill to evade his mark, unable to do so. And now it's Mount Pleasant's turn. No. Christian in the way. And well, both teams sloppy as far as keeping the possession. Christian with some space sends it long to the edge of the box. Dean Andre Thomas was thinking of a shot, decided against it, and Demario Phillips, who had to do a lot of defending so far, the attacking midfielder, putting that one into touch.
Not pleased with McCullough. He felt McCullough should have tracked back and put some pressure on Thomas, and not liking the fact that he had to really do the tracking there. McCullough is expected to play in that position as that central defensive midfielder. Phillips wants to be on the attacking end, and he ran past McCullough and showed his disgust there with McCullough, and still at him there, Phillips, saying, look, do what you're doing. McCullough is saying, wait and see, I might have to cover for you soon.
Here's Mount Pleasant having to regroup. Long ball inside the box, and out comes Hyatt just to make sure.
I think one of the things that we see Dunbeholden doing, because Mount Pleasant, they're playing with a 4-2-3-1, most times will have the wide attacking players narrow.
Bailey looking to get a good ball inside the area. It's at the back post. Merrick, it was always going to be difficult for him to win a header. Murray finding him once more. Dangerous player out wide. Murray comes back into the fray, and it's headed away by Wilkes. They'll try again. Merrick. Now Phillips. Murray. Merrick asking for it. Decides to go back to Demario Phillips. Lofted ball inside of the back post. It had to be headed away. Kimoni Bailey was waiting right there on the doorstep. Yes. But it's a corner kick.
Stephen Williams with that header, the defensive header there, good one. I was saying before that Dunbeholden, in order to try and counter this 5 in midfield for Mount Pleasant, just one of those strikers, be it Thomas or Barnett, will just drop deep.
Corner kick. Bailey. Back to Phillips. Morris. Not sure if that was a game plan by Mount Pleasant. Now it's launched once more, but it's too far ahead of Demario Phillips.
Yeah, I think they overplayed it that time. And you had committed a lot of players in the box, you suspect. Just get it in there. Or execute that which came off the training ground. Coach Whitmore himself is bemused by what they tried there. Probably saying, I've never seen that one.
It is a swirling wind here at Sabina Park. Not quite in favor of one team, one suspects. Of course, it's a massive basin here on South Camp Road. Known, of course, for another incredible sport in cricket. The mecca of Jamaica's cricket, in fact.
Yeah, and some of us had the pleasure of playing here. I did, Donald. I made my debut here for Trelawny's senior cricket team.
Oh yes, club cricket, yes.
Yes, played a game. You thought it was the West Indies. I know you felt I was that good.
I was looking for an impressive resume, to be fair. But it's fine.
I did play against West Indies players at the time. A young boy out of school. Jeffrey Dujon was in that team at the time. A young, say, 15-year-old coming out. Yeah, I did get mine.
I'm not sure if you were really young or Jeffrey Dujon was really old at the time, but...
Let's just say I played against the legend.
Okay. Semantics. It's a throw-in the meantime to Mount Pleasant, deep in their own half. Interesting game so far.
Yeah, you can't really say either team have really have control of this one. Both teams have had their moments.
Maybe there's a mistake in one of them. Barnett going for goal from way out. Davis had it covered.
Yeah, I think that's something what Phillips is talking about, where McCullough is. There's just that little space in front of that back line for Mount Pleasant, where Dunbeholden, they're finding a little joy there, and then Phillips from deep, Christian from deep, given some space.
Well, Bailey has a lot of space to work with now, and the reason is because he was in an outside position, so there you go.
Yeah, bribed by it, and he succumbed to it. But yeah, with Christian early in this one, we've seen him on the ball a few times, not under a lot of pressure. Well, we see that, but we couldn't see when the ball was played, so that would suggest he's offside. He's onside, but he's offside when the ball is played. Yeah, this is more, if you're Christian's territory, not just a little bit away from Stephen Williams, where he would be comfortable. But he may still express some interest in it. He's the one with the ball, setting up meticulously on the blade of grass that he wants it.
He's kicking into a breeze here, or he will be. Stephen Williams just having a conversation with Nicoy Christian. There is an option for Christian to dink it inside the box, but I think it's Williams again. Three-man wall set up. Williams, oh, that was more ferocious. Corner kick to Dunbeholden.
Yeah, the wall stood strong there, did its job. You expect him to not surprising that he has gone for the first two free kicks in the attacking third, having scored against Mount Pleasant last week. Ricardo
Thomas to deliver this one for Dunbeholden. Evaded both O'Dane Samuels and Chevoy Watkin.
Pleasant is a team that they really like to use the wide areas. Even their fullbacks at times will very often get into the attack. Phillips or Bailey likes to go forward as well.
This quarterfinal, of course, is a battle between the third best team in the regular season in Mount Pleasant and the sixth best. Mentioned before that Dunbeholden just managed to get into the playoffs with victory over Mount Pleasant, and it was a victory at Ferdinand Park. 3-1 the score, and they had to come from behind to do so.
Yeah, just a point over Portmore, and got them in. And for them, for the last 6 rounds of the regular round, they really played as if every game was a final. So the preparation for this playoffs, you feel perfect in terms of the scenarios.
And they are playing in a knockout cup competition as well, so just to add to the fact that every game feels as if it's a knockout or a final. Here is Kimoni Bailey trying to get across the halfway line, and keeps possession and still goes. Wilkes though recovers and was fouled. Oh no, before then Bailey was fouled by Wilkes, according to referee Daniel Parchment. So there is a free kick awarded to Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, Christian not pleased with that, just a smirk on the face. But let's have a look here.
Must have taken place before that.
And he felt it wasn't his call, Bailey. But I think just when he went across him there, that it wasn't shoulder to shoulder. Just that shove was on the chest blade.
Phillips. Did he keep that one in play? No, he did not. It was always going to be difficult.
Yeah, with the wind behind it as well.
Trying to be steady in their approach, Mount Pleasant. Get the feeling that they're playing within themselves. Although another way to look at it is that Dunbeholden not quite allowing them to play their game. It's a long ball of field. Here is McCullough. Ball played inside. It's a good one, but coming out to punch away Damian Hyatt. And Dunbeholden in transition now. Can they strike? DeAndre Thomas going forward himself. That's a wonderful challenge. Really had to be accurate there in making that challenge. Sunday McCullough. Mount Pleasant with the majority of the possession at 58%. Just running out of real estate there, Kimoni Bailey.
Yeah, that challenge from McCullough is what more like what Demario Phillips was lamenting that he wasn't doing early in the game. He tracked the runner in Thomas, and then at the crucial moment timed his challenge to perfection. And Phillips will like that because it means that he can stay high up the park and provide an outlet for Mount Pleasant should they dispossess Dunbeholden as they go on their attacking runs.
Oh, that wasn't the best first touch from Christian. Stewart wasn't quick enough to get there though. Siobhan James with the throw to DeAndre Thomas. To Jakeem Powell. Ricardo Thomas up high. There's a ball inside the area. The header is wide of the mark. It was wonderfully placed inside the box, and DeAndre Thomas flashed the header wide.
Yeah, it was a good ball into the box there, and Thomas would have felt that he should have made a better contact with that one. Did get away from his marker just now. His marker was in the form of Kimani Campbell, and he's gonna have to do better. Just was behind Thomas, needed to have been goal side.
Christian again goes long, and this one is headed. Oh, that's touched away by Shaquan Davis. Turns out to be a fabulous save after wonderful improvisation from DeAndre Thomas. Well, well, well.
That's what I talk about with Christian from deep, having the time to execute. He did it quite quickly, yes, but you have to keep track of him. But yeah, that was really good work. He made that pass look even better than it was.
Reminiscent
Andre
of
Thomas.
Reminiscent of what we saw from Robin van Persie,
Yeah.
the 2014 World Cup for the Netherlands.
Yeah, Van Persie had a little more wings, but yeah, certainly in that fold. And it brought a smart save from Davis.
Just the other day we were speaking about it in the department and saying that goal is difficult to replicate.
Even by the man who executed it, you feel.
And Dean Andre Thomas almost did something similar. Not quite, but similar.
Yeah.
Wonderful attempt and a very good save from Davis, who had to be alert as well.
Yeah, for him to bring a save out of Davis, because it looked like there was nothing in it, like it was going to get away from him. And he needed all of that neck muscle to redirect it on goal and cause Davis to be very interested in it.
Good football all around.
Yeah, yeah. Christian there didn't need an extra touch on it.
Bailey. Now he's the one asking Ricardo Morris to chase. And sometimes when you see Ricardo Morris run, it almost seems cruel asking him to fetch something.
I just have a look at him there as if he gave everything just now. Yeah, he certainly extended himself in that run just now. I guess the worst thing you could ask for him now is to give him another ball into the space there.
Take two.
Well,
there you go. He
gave
no
up quite
chance.
quickly though.
I think he was a little bit relieved that he had less of a chance to get there, so he could pull out early.
Showing the effort. Bailey, on the other hand, wouldn't mind going 2, 3, 4, 5 times.
Well, to be fair, he has done it on a couple of occasions, but hasn't borne Mount Pleasant much fruit. Here they come once more through Ricardo Thomas, and an opportunity here for Watkin. Barnett, haven't seen a lot from Barnett. Thomas trying to provide one inside the area, deflected, and it's a corner kick to Dunbeholden.
I think Barnett, you say I haven't seen a lot of him up front there, but what we see with a rotation with Dunbeholden is that they're playing two up top, but Barnett, more often than not, is the player that drops back into midfield to give them an extra number, and Dean Andre Thomas stays at the focal point.
Here's a corner kick, swinging in, and Demario Phillips trying to make a nuisance of himself. Christian comes out on top though, trying to thread that through to Watkin, and that's a good challenge coming from Watkin. It's a throw into Mount Pleasant though. Watkin being asked to play in the middle of the park, almost in a holding midfield area, just being that enforcer for Dunbeholden in this matchup with Mount Pleasant. Maybe it's something that they would have learned the last time they met.
Yeah, because it was evident on that occasion, and that Mount Pleasant, they dominated possession and just passed it around at will. And many say that the scoreline was against the run of play. And with McCarthy out, you want a lot of energy inside there. You see Dunbeholden employing 2 players inside there to do the work McCarthy would normally do. On this occasion, Wilkes and Powell.
Thomas. Was always going to be difficult to get by 3 players. Free kick goes the other way. O'Dane Samuels is down. Yeah, the yellow card comes out to Trevante Stewart. Yeah, I was wondering if he actually left a leg out. Let's take a look at it again. Yes, he did. Dangerous play, in fact. Very dangerous play.
Yes, and deserving of the yellow. I don't think he can have any complaint about that, Trevante. bit of frustration you feel in that, because he hasn't had much to feed on in this game so far. Opening 28 minutes, and I don't think he has had a sight at goal. Between round 17 and round 25, 2 goals for Trevante. Was on 14 for a very long time, and is on 15. He trails Anderson, who is on 17, tied on 15 with Fabian Reed, and he will have 2 extra games to try and separate himself from Reed.
Yeah, that's the thing about being in the quarterfinal phase of the playoffs. It's a strong bench that they do have, though.
Yes, and some feel at some point Rankin, as we saw just now, will have some say in this encounter.
Good to see that Dane Samuels is fine. Hasn't scored a goal in the Jamaica Premier League this season, but he has 2 belters in the Link Cup. Dane Samuels, and those have been his debut goals in his professional career.
It's funny, Donald, when players, they do play same team up against same opponent, different competitions, and so often you see teams and players just looking so different in different competitions. Maybe in their mind they do decide what's the main course and what's considered the appetizer, so they free themselves or play with a lot more freedom.
Bailey moving that one on quickly, and I think that was predictable from Ricardo Morris. Zakia Wilkes read it all the way.
Yeah, I think he needed a drop of the shoulder there and then go inside. Wilkes definitely read that one. I saw it from here, and he was much, much closer than I was.
Doxley. Stewart can't line up a shot. Oh, it's wide of the mark. Oh, there was power in that one. Flashed wide in the end. Stewart looking for his 16th this season.
Yeah, once it was played into him, you know, it was one thing on his mind. We did talk about him not having a sight of goals so far. And once he got this one, he was going to just flex his muscles somewhat. Mount Pleasant, they had a series of passes in this move, ending with that shot by Stewart. But yeah, once it came into him, had some room here, and in the end might be a little bit disappointed that he did not get it on target. From that replay, he felt he should have.
These 2 teams carry passionate sets of supporters. So always interesting to hear what they have to say from the stands. As Barnett with an ambitious effort there. We saw someone earlier, Dean Andre Thomas, trying to replicate Robin Van Persie. Barnett on that occasion trying to replicate James Rodriguez with that effort at the same World Cup in 2014.
Yeah. Was a spectacular strike. They say that was the making of Rodriguez.
Haven't seen him since. Here.
Look in the back rooms at Real Madrid. Probably would find him.
Here is Mount Pleasant looking to get another attack going. Phillips, not the best ball forward to McCalla. Well, that was a late challenge. The yellow card is going to be shown to Demario Phillips. There was no hesitation there from Danian Parchment.
Yeah, went straight through Thomas. Thomas is a very good number 9. I mean, yes, he's playing with Barnett as a partner, but very good on his own. And a very good focal point for any team. One of the best number 9s in this Jamaica Premier League. Just his hold-up play and bringing others into the fold is excellent. But one of the best I've seen in terms of doing the hold-up play and bringing others into the fore is he's no longer in the league, from Malign's Jason Wright.
Well, hopefully he's in the league next season.
Yeah. Or he may want to feel like he did enough to get some contract outside. He wouldn't mind that, Donald.
Mount Pleasant again. Merrick inside to Phillips was tripped, and another yellow card will come out.
First one for Dunbeholden. Shaquille Powell.
Dayton Parchment in no-nonsense mood here.
Well, he had a very good sight of it. He was right on hand. Clear as day. It's probably one of the easiest calls he's going to have to make.
And Phillips, after being shown the yellow card himself, was like, wait. Didn't have to argue too much though. He did flash quickly in the direction of Shaquille Powell. This is some way out.
Maybe Morris will.
Morris is there, Phillips is also there, Doxley is also there, and he should have held it the first time and holds on to it on the second attempt. Hyatt made it a little bit more difficult than it had to.
Yeah, there wasn't much power on it, and you felt at this level you expect him to really take that first time. And maybe more Mount Pleasant players should have bear down on him there and give him a little bit of distraction.
Yeah, he did make a meal of it in the end, did Hyatt, but the Mount Pleasant players weren't alert.
Yeah, not sharp enough.
Nicoy Christian. Chevon James. Not sure why James is arguing. The quality of the ball there wasn't best. There's the owner of Mount Pleasant.
Gould, yeah.
Peter Gould. He wants silverware. And you can't blame him with the amount of investment he has made.
And changing of technical directors. He does model it off Chelsea. I hear he's a big fan of Chelsea.
Bailey couldn't quite get the return ball. James was in the way, did well.
But this game just waiting to catch fire here. Haven't seen enough or consistent goal mount activity. Can Phillips create one here?
There's a delivery inside, headed away. I think there's an issue for, is it Dean Andre Thomas was the one who headed away?
Yes, he collided with someone in the process, but it initially looked like just a clean head off the head on the football.
Oh, there was no collision. Probably just came off his face as opposed to his forehead. Dunbeholden down to 10 players for the time being. Phillips. Now they'll have a throw. Phillips to go long. Another player is down for Dunbeholden. It's Christian on this occasion.
Yeah, frustrating. Mount Pleasant, they can't really get the attack going. And Dean Andre Thomas just saying to the physio, do not rush onto it, the field, because it means the player would have to exit the park, and he doesn't want to play on with 10 players at any point.
Christian. Again going long, finding Stephen Williams. Williams. Campbell with a block. And again. Peter McGregor looking on. One of the substitutes for Dunbeholden. Still trying to get into some decent form. The striker was wonderful last year, 8 goals to his name. Not quite as prolific this time around with just 3. McCullough with the interception. Bailey now. The official just intervening here, cooling things down. Stephen Williams, though, is a competitor, isn't he?
Yeah, not pleased about maybe a knock he got on the close to the elbow.
And now Williams will require some attention, maybe, off the field of play.
Maybe a cut there, so has to cover up the bleeding. It's just trying to wash it off, but not allowed to continue without it being covered.
Campbell. Bailey trying to move away from James. Williams back into the action. Bustling forward. Was fouled. Tristate Stewart. Has to be careful. He's already away. On a yellow card.
He's quickly walking away from the crime scene. Yeah, he has to be careful.
I actually thought David Ferguson was really smart there to be a distraction to the officials.
I was wondering what he was arguing about.
No, it was a distraction. Very smart.
But when he gets an opportunity, maybe he has to just whisper a thing or two in Javante's ear to just let him know. Walking a tightrope here.
James can't get by Bailey. And now Demario Phillips deciding to go long. Stewart giving chase. Wilkes right there. And Wilkes does really well. Christian with the ball. Ambitious, looking for Barnett, who commits the foul.
Yeah, there's a shove in the back of Richie there, just putting him off balance and causing him to miscue the header. But Javante Stewart just needed a little bit more magic in the feet there, just to get away from the one defender.
There's Atafori Bygrave warming up. If one tower isn't working, you replace him with the next one.
Or you pair him with him and make it a twin tower.
Well, that is an option. We're expecting just a couple of minutes of stoppages to be played. The game has been punctuated so many times by the referee's whistle. There's another infringement. This time from Samuels. Ricardo Morris is asking for the card to be shown.
And there was no need for Samuels to do that. Fellow's back was turned. There was no way he was always going to get the ball. You can't prevent him from getting the ball again. But half your job was already done by having him face his own goal, or face away from your goal.
Phillips goes long, and they haven't been able to clear it properly. The follow-up is put over the top though. Coming in was Dwight Merrick. They did not spot his run, and he was almost quickest to it. He was in fact, but his shot over the top.
Yeah, belated attempt to clear it there from Dunbeholden, and Merrick snuck in, and maybe you could look at that and say probably one of the best chances of this encounter, not created or carved out by Mount Pleasant, but probably a lapse in concentration from Dunbeholden at the back there, almost let them in.
Playing being called back after a challenge on Ricardo Thomas. So Dunbeholden, they have a free kick. And this is James. And James again with a long ball upfield. No issues there for Shaquan Davis.
Yeah, a whistle went too because Barnett just ran into him. There's no chance of Barnett getting the ball.
The keepers haven't really been busy.
No, apart from that save from Davis with that header from Thomas. Not much doing.
Yep. And that's the end of the first half. Haven't seen any goals in it. Haven't seen a lot of goal-mouth activity as well, as we start the playoffs here in the Jamaica Premier League with the quarterfinal action. First leg here at Sabina Park. After 45 minutes, we're yet to see a goal between Dunbeholden and Mount Pleasant.
Welcome back to Sabina Park, where we have the first of our doubleheader here in the quarterfinals of the Jamaica Premier League. Dunbeholden up against Mount Pleasant. It's 0-0 between the two teams as we take a look at the first half highlights. Dunbeholden getting us on the way. It hasn't been a lot of goal mouth activities, but a gripping encounter nonetheless. Mount Pleasant there, a searching ball into the box from Phillips, and it was Williams who had to head that one behind to snuff out the danger. Barnett here from distance, sailing over, showing his intent from early. We'll pretty much see more from him later in this one. Mount Pleasant again, ball into the box there, and Hyatt was decisive in coming forward. A searching ball here for Thomas out wide, and once it lead it back to Wilkes, it was into the box here, and Dean Andre Thomas, the warning sign was there, and this searching ball from Christian deep, looking for Thomas. In the end, he did exceptionally well to pull off a save from Davis, and that was the best chance for Dunbeholden in that first half. Stewart not having a lot of sight at goal, but once he got this one, found himself into a pocket of space, and he did let fly. Doxley, his shot was made to look better than it was by Hyatt, really making a meal of that one, and should have had that one on the first attempt. The best chance you felt in the half, not carved out by Mount Pleasant, but a lapse in concentration from Dunbeholden almost let Merrick in, and Parchment calling a halt to the proceeding after 45 minutes. Looking at the first half stats here, Dunbeholden 5 shots, 1 on target, same amount on target from the 6 shots from Mount Pleasant. 5 fouls committed by Dunbeholden, 8 by Mount Pleasant. 2 yellow cards for Mount Pleasant, 1 for Dunbeholden, no a red card, 1 offside against Mount Pleasant. 2 corners for Mount Pleasant, 4 for Dunbeholden. A save apiece from Davis and Hyatt, and Mount Pleasant with 55% of the possession. It's 0-0 here at halftime in this first leg of the quarterfinals in the Jamaica Premier League. We take a break. When we come back, second half action.
So lots to look forward to in terms of UEFA Champions League football on Wednesday afternoon. Manchester City against Real Madrid in the second leg of their semi-final on Sportsmax 2. Beginning at 2 p.m. Jamaica time, 3 p.m. in the Eastern Caribbean time. And of course you can watch the pre-game show, which begins an hour before kickoff. And as far as the link-up semi-final second leg is concerned, Dunbeholden and Cavalier, they do battle on Friday afternoon, 5:30, 6:30 in the Eastern Caribbean. And right after that in the link-up, Portmore United will face off with Harbourview at 8 o'clock Jamaica time, 9 in the Eastern Caribbean time. You can watch that on Sportsmax 2 as well as on the Sportsmax YouTube channel. Now, during the halftime interval, there was a presentation of a plaque to Sagicor's Terran Dua by the Dunbeholden president, Donovan Witter, as the club Dunbeholden just giving thanks to Sagicor for their assistance, for their sponsorship and showing their appreciation to them. So, almost time for the second half to begin, and I hope that there is some improvement for the second stanza of this game, where more chances are created. We did see a whole lot of chances in that first half. In fact, it can be described so far as a cagey affair.
Yeah, you'd be spot on there, Donald. Not much happening in front of goal, and a lot of back and forth in the middle of the park. Some would want to say it's a tactical battle, and that will give credence to the coaches. But yeah, a bit cagey, yeah, both teams trying to not give too much away in terms of space and ability for players to play in between the lines. So trying to be compact, both teams. And I guess when you have two sets of a good defense, then it will cancel or nullify the attack. And that's what we saw in that first half.
Well, the second half on the way here. And Demario Phillips lining up a shot! Well, there's the action that was missing in the first half. Damian Hyatt had to pull off a save there to deny Phillips.
Yeah, that was a raking strike there from Phillips. Way out once he set sight there. Yeah, you felt it was going to nestle in that top corner and needed that right hand to tip it over.
Mount Pleasant with the corner kick delivered inside and not cleared properly. An opportunity still for Mount Pleasant. It's headed away. It comes again to Phillips, this time not as accurate, high and wide.
Yeah, I wouldn't sit for him this time round, and he was being closed down very quickly by players rushing out for Dunbeholden, so he didn't have the time to wait on it to drop to get the knee over it. But the strike before, he had the time, the space, and he did execute well, bringing out a spectacular save from Hyatt.
Well, that's one way to start the half.
And long may it continue.
Bailey trying to keep that one in play. He did. Well, it's a throw into
Mount Pleasant.
To Mount Pleasant. And he's taking it quickly, looking for Trevante Stewart. First touch wasn't the best. It was a heavy touch, in fact. Started the league like a house on fire, but he's cooled off in the last few weeks, Trevante Stewart.
Cooled significantly. You feel what has I see lacking in his game is it's just that close ball control in tight areas. Probably just need a little bit more finesse to his play.
Barnett trying to get this across, and the flag stayed down, and so too DeAndre Thomas as he tried to get there. I'm not sure if he committed fully to the cause there.
We get a chance to look at it, but you felt he was prime to get onto the end of that one. It favoured him, and any touch on it you felt would have nestled in the back of the net. Maybe didn't extend himself enough. But both teams want from close, and the other from distance, getting a sight at goal. Something they didn't get a lot of in that first half.
Doxley. Merrick couldn't control. They've come out with purpose in the second half. Mount Pleasant. And Dunbeholden, we're yet to see a response, really.
Well, they had a perfect opportunity to respond there. That ball into the box to Thomas. Still feel it was a good opportunity and should have done more to get onto the end of it.
Morris almost gave it away just over the head of Williams. And the Phillips, who has been involved so far, trying to run towards that one. That was the best clearance at all. Bailey in the way. Trevante Stewart hasn't been sharp at all.
Yeah, that's just lamenting that he needs to be better in tight spaces. And even on that occasion, back to goal, just hold it up and bring others into play. He has to know when the chance or the opportunity is there for him to turn.
Well, here's Murray striding forward for Mount Pleasant. No, that's anticlimactic. It goes the other way. Ricardo Thomas has some space to work in. Goes for glory himself. Well, that should look spectacular on the replay with the camera right in the way, but way over the top.
Not
from Ricardo Thomas.
But you see what he was trying to do, just to bend it into that far corner. In the end, it was way over the top. Hitting a target he wasn't aiming at. Tripod back in the position intended.
Got up quickly there after that.
Stewart there, not on the same wavelength with Merrick.
They do have a strong bench, Mount Pleasant. They can go for those options at any minute. Jordan Fletcher, who would have scored in the last game against Dunbeholden, is on the bench.
Yeah, goal to his name, Fletcher.
They have Devontae Campbell as well. Bygrave, who you probably would have seen warming up in the first half, but Merrick couldn't keep that one in play.
Bygrave 6 goals so far. So goals on the bench for sure.
Yep, quite a few attacking options.
13 different goal scorers for them this season, but Dunbeholden 14 different goal scorers for them.
Thomas does well to keep it. Wilkes scooping that out to Stephen Williams, who decided to leave the ball. Now here's Phillips. Phillips couldn't find a partner. And now Williams going long, and that's headed into touch by the Mount Pleasant skipper.
You know, chatting with some of the Dunbeholden coaches, Phillips is that player that, you know, probably concerns them the most in terms of how he's used here, and if he's allowed to really get his game going and get on the ball a lot, then because he's a high energy player, Phillips, and we could see at the start of the second half Mount Pleasant really trying to get him going.
Davis goes long. James in the way. Powell still doing his endeavor best to try and win it. Ball over the top looking for Dean Andre Thomas. Ricardo Thomas inside. At the back post, a chance! And it's touched over the line by Barnett. The flag stays down. And Dunbeholden with the critical lead here over Mount Pleasant. It was Barnett right there on the doorstep, and he made no mistake to get his 9th goal this season. And would you believe it, Dunbeholden ahead over Mount Pleasant.
Well, we've seen a better start to the second half. Both teams coming out with more intent. Was a little bit cagey in that first half, but nothing so in the second half. And once it came out to that cross going into the box, and just looking out of sort is Mount Pleasant at the back, and Richie begging for the flag and begging all his worth there. It wasn't going to come. Barnett getting on the end of it and just throwing over the line. He wouldn't have scored. I was not going to score an easier goal than that one. And maybe in the end Davis felt he could have done better. But it's Dunbeholden celebrating here. Mount Pleasant have it all to do.
Well, it's a journey now for Mount Pleasant. Dunbeholden had to come from behind to register their way into the playoffs. Now it's Mount Pleasant who will have to come from behind to register their way into the semis.
And you felt it was poor there. Richie, he had gone upfield, was fighting, was out of position, and Doxley had come across to snuff out the danger, but then gave the ball away. Poor clearance from Doxley and paid in the end.
Stewart, lucky, trying to make his way through. Was he challenged illegally? He was. Just outside the area. Free kick to Mount Pleasant. Yeah, he was surrounded by so many players, and that was a challenge from behind. He stayed on the turf. And he's in some pain here. Surrounded by his teammates.
Yeah, he has came off worse.
Thinking that's Siobhan James here. Yeah. He got a hand to the face initially.
Yeah, I think that's where the attention is being focused here.
The hand to the face came right before the challenge from James.
Mount Pleasant, they're getting busy. We did say, and you did say, Donald, a lot of quality on the bench. Bygrave there. And that's what they need. They need goals now. Fletcher as well. Devontae Campbell, all attacking players going through their routine here. It's 2 legs of this quarterfinals, but Mount Pleasant, they won't want to trail at the end of this one. Seem like a cut to the lip.
Glad he's okay though. But it was his challenge which has caused Dunbeholden to now try and defend this free kick. And Mount Pleasant would want to make good use of this opportunity here. Who's lining up for it?
Morris, Phillips, Richie.
I think it's either the left foot of Morris or the right foot of Phillips.
Yeah, those are the 2 prime candidates, you feel.
Shavante Stewart is also there. Who will it be? It's Ricardo Morris! So it's wide of the mark. Hyatt was moving to his right. He would say he had it covered.
Look, laboured getting to his right there. Didn't look like there was a lot of pace on it, but it looked like he struggled getting across there.
That didn't miss by much at all.
No, I'm not quite sure he had that one covered too, as well. Didn't get that bend back on goal, Morris. Just a long run up either, a few steps.
Barnett does well to keep it. Christian knocks it into space. Oh, Williams was in an offside position. He can't believe it.
Yeah, that's not the flag that Mount Pleasant wanted. They wanted one on the goal. It never came.
I think they needed it there as well. Because Williams was in acres of space.
Say Doxley didn't cover himself in glory before that goal.
Here's Kimoni Bailey. Bailey trying to send that one inside. James is in the way. Not the most convincing clearance, so Bailey will have it. Need some help possibly. Last touch off Bailey.
Haven't really influenced the game as much, Bailey.
Murray, was he pulled back? Referee says play on, and they do. Bailey. Phillips. Was he tripped? Yeah. Who will be the provider here? They haven't really committed a lot of players forward. Phillips at the back post. Richie keeps it alive. Murray's there, nods it back. Merrick comes across to Morris. Phillips. Here's an opportunity for Richie. Murray. Williams doing some good defensive work. Thomas with a clearance.
I think Dunbeholden, they're prepared for this. They would have expected a little drop in the tempo from Mount Pleasant, having gone behind.
Mount Pleasant with the majority of the possession at 53% at the moment. They seek the equalizer here. Kept in play. Phillips has McAuliffe for company and made the wrong decision in the end.
Yeah, it was asked from the technical team for him to continue to spread it wide, because Dunbeholden had made themselves very narrow, difficult to penetrate, so just needed a little bit more patience. And the two Thomases there, Harold and Jermaine, the teacher and the student, really conjuring up here to keep their charges ahead.
Barnett trying to hustle and get there, putting Murray under pressure. Murray does well, until he didn't. And here is Dean Andre Thomas. Thomas. And now here's a shot that's well wide of the mark. Shaquille Powell there with a hit.
Richie just asking Murray what was he thinking or not thinking there. It's the same area where the goal came from. It was Doxley who had a poor clearance. This time, Murray just left the ball, handed it to Dunbeholden. You cannot afford to go two down, you feel, Mount Pleasant.
Bailey. He went down too easily there. Did Ricardo Morris.
We're past the hour mark where the changes normally would come. The subs continue to warm up for both teams. You get the feeling It's Mount Pleasant who need to make a change here.
Or changes.
Yeah.
They haven't been firing Mount Pleasant, and now there's going to be another stoppage in play. And it is Barnett who needs assistance from the bench.
Yeah, it seemed to be a shoulder injury he is experiencing there.
Well, I suppose if it's a shoulder injury, he could walk off.
Yeah. But for him, he's leading. He's going to want to stay in the park as long as possible. And yes, he's walking off, Donald. And it seemed to be that left shoulder.
As we take a look at the goal here, and Williams had driven this one across into the path of Barnett.
Yeah, a shot you felt from Williams that ended up being an assist for Barnett, but just before that, the cross going into the box, it was Doxley who, in his attempt to clear it, gave up possession. His centre-back pairing in Richie was way up the park, and the ideal players to be in the middle there missing, and it left that gap for Dunbeholden to exploit, and exploit it they did. Probably could have played it out for a throw in, Doxley, and just asked his charges to regroup, giving Richie time to get back.
Well, Mount Pleasant to make the first move here, and Jordan Fletcher has replaced Dwight Merrick. No surprise.
No surprise there. Merrick has been good form leading into this playoff, but just unable to influence this game or get a foothold in this one. He's not alone in that regards for Mount Pleasant, so I expect more changes to come shortly.
Phillips. Lovely takedown from Murray. No issues there for Hyatt.
Yeah, nobody central for Mount Pleasant for him to aim at. So he would have needed more on that one to get it to the back post, where you had Bailey and Stewart arriving. But Dunbeholden can be quite pleased after 67 minutes the way they've handled the attack coming from Mount Pleasant. Been a bit blunt from them, to be honest, Mount Pleasant.
Good work from Campbell to deny Williams, and Stewart again couldn't quite gather that one in his possession. Nicole Christian striding forward for Dunbeholden, fires an attempt that's wide of the mark.
Davis expressed a late interest in that one. Christian doesn't shoot a lot, but on that occasion felt he saw a lot of the goal, and that crumble didn't look so technical there from Davis.
Christian again. Free kick to Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, Davis just looking a bit suspect there. I think on that evidence, Christian, before that infringement, was just trying to do all he can to line up another shot. Concern here, he said Mount Pleasant season started today and everybody was up for it, players, staff. They're not looking the part at the moment.
Not sure if I can identify what they're trying. In the first half we saw so many balls over the top They were literally doing Route 1 on quite a few occasions. Not sure if it's a matter of Dunbeholden just not allowing them to play in the aftermath of what many from Mount Pleasant have said. They played their best brand of football in that last game of the regular season against this same Dunbeholden team.
And the fact is, when you listen to them talk about that, it was about a lot of passes, patient build-up and breaking lines. And you talk about them going very direct early in this one. And we have not seen enough sequence of possession from Mount Pleasant. In the first half, they did have one which ended up with Trevante Stewart blasting wide from distance, but not enough of that. And you see the coaching staff wanting them to go wide a lot, not getting that.
And there's a Tafaroy Bygrave getting ready to come on. And he's going to replace O'Dane Murray. I'm almost sure that he won't be playing right back, Bygrave. It is very much an attacking change, and he's coming on against his old club.
And McCullough might just be asked to play in that right back position, or they'll go.
You get the feeling
formation change,
yeah,
so we'll see.
Yeah, maybe 3 at the back. Well, they have to do some defending for the time being. And here's an opportunity for Dunbeholden. Dean-Andre Thomas should have played that ball earlier, I felt.
Yeah,
but here he is still with it. And getting some support now from Thomas. Whips it forward to Stephen Williams. Williams gets the return. Lovely. Under pressure from Phillips, who's done really well. Maybe the best player for Mount Pleasant so far this evening, Demario Phillips. And Fletcher gets his first touch, and he's looking for options immediately. Phillips now going long. McCullough and the right side of the defense, as you mentioned, Dwight.
Yeah, there's a Jinxon. They're looking as if they've gone to. We'll just wait to see him settling down, but look like a 4-4-2 in the system here, because Bygrave joining Stewart up front.
Dean-Andre Thomas trying to get the better of Ladale Ritchie, who's in some problems here. He goes to the turf. Daniel Parchment says no. I felt he went down a little bit too easily there.
And I think Parchment is right there, just a bit too easy. Ritchie there has to be careful too. He gave a decision, Parchment a decision to make.
Here's a ball inside that's headed away by Samuels. And Williams committing the foul on the diminutive Demario Phillips.
Phillips was smart there. Saw the ball was going over the top and just turned to shield and protect. Yeah, not much in that one. Had a little tug on him, but let go very quickly. Yeah, not enough at all. Thomas is a much stronger player than that. That was never going to be enough to bring him to the turf.
Peter McGregor is the response being made by Dunbeholden. It's all chess in this quarterfinal first leg. It seems as if both strikers are going to be taken off, with McGregor and Rowan Brown coming on. Brown, known for his late goals in recent weeks for Dunbeholden. He has 5 to his name so far. McGregor with 3. So Barnett and Thomas off. McCullough sends it high. Siobhan James heads it away. Williams couldn't win it. Bailey did. Kimani Campbell can provide service and nodded away before Bygrave could make something out of it.
Yeah, Ricardo Thomas at the back post, just making sure that he put that one behind and just asked his team to regroup and defend this corner.
Ricardo Morris to deliver, and he does. Still a chance here, and free kick awarded to Dunbeholden. McGregor was fouled.
When you talk about a response from Dunbeholden, there we see McGregor coming into a little bit of form towards the end of the season. 3 goals, got 2 against Malines. And Dunbeholden just freshening up their attack line. 2 fresh strikers on. You get the feeling, the fact that they did play the link up on Friday, freshening things up, and just at a point when Mount Pleasant may feel like they want to go for the equalizer and probably will look to get their wing backs going forward. I think Dunbeholden just saying to them here, just take a second here, because we have some fresh legs to keep you company.
As we take a look at the Sportsmax at moment of the game, and Morris with the delivery inside, and then Williams sending this across, and Barnett with the finish, and getting his 9th goal this season, Stephen Barnett, and that's the difference between the teams as it stands in this quarterfinal first leg.
Yeah, that moment showed it perfectly with Doxley just hitting the ball aimlessly into the path of Ricardo Thomas, who swung that one into the back post, and Williams was on hand with his attempt shot on goal, turning out to be an assist for Barnett.
Yeah, Mount Pleasant obviously weren't expecting that at all, and it was going to always be difficult to defend against.
Yeah, especially with the fact that Richie was upfield.
Yeah. And 2 against 1, the one being the keeper. Shaquan Davis surely wasn't favoured to make anything out of that. Christian managing to make the pass, and Williams on it. Went to ground really early there, did McCullough. Lucky to have come up with the ball. Morris. Jordan Fletcher. And hustling back, Peter McGregor.
Yeah, they continue to play the same way, Dunbeholden. One of the strikers always dropping back.
There's the ball inside the area. Not the most convincing header away. Comes out to Ricardo Morris. And was tumbling. Finally found the turf. Free kick to Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, once he felt it, just a knock on the shin there. Yeah, always going down, just a clip of the heel rather. But as well too, Donald, Dunbeholden not showing any signs of any fatigue or any effects from their exploits in a link-up on Friday.
Yeah, they had to manage that process very well, Dunbeholden.
And then the evidence of what we've seen here seem to have done well.
Well, Ricardo Morris is there. So to Demario Phillips. Or Fletcher rather. And Phillips. It is going to be Jordan Fletcher. Straight into the hands of Damien Hyatt.
Yeah, lacking the direction and the power, Fletcher. Registers a shot on target, but never ever a worry for Hyatt.
McGregor on it.
Yeah, there's no rest for Richie. He's first had Thomas to deal with, bulky, physical, and McGregor in the same vein,
but taller.
Yeah, so more problems to deal with.
James with a long throw here, looking for McGregor. Rowan Brown is also there. There's a whistle on the play. McGregor committing the infringement there.
You look at Dunbeholden, even Nicoy Christian, I haven't called his name a lot in recent times here, but certainly a lot deeper here, just looking to provide a shield and protect what they have.
Bailey to Campbell, trying to find Bailey once more.
Just not happening for Mount Pleasant in that final third. Maybe the introduction of Devontae Campbell with some pace can stretch this Dunbeholden back line, because so far they've remained narrow and compact.
McCallum now. Bygrave. Samuels running out of defense. Getting Brown involved. Oh, Rowan Brown does well. And trying to go around Ricardo Morris. Wins it back, Brown. Brown has McGregor for company. Finds McGregor. Still McGregor over the top. Well, they almost doubled the advantage there. Dunbeholden. Was really good work from Ron Brown before he had let it go to McGregor. Shot just off target.
Yeah, McGregor did well there just to create that space to get that shot off. In the end, just hitting the back sanction of the goal just over the top, looking for the far top corner. But it was all Brown's ingenuity there that created that chance.
Christian. So it's apparent that Dunbeholden, they have the X factor in Rowan Brown. Who's the X factor for Mount Pleasant to get them back into this game? Phillips now. An opportunity. Bailey trying to thread that one through. Kept alive for Phillips. I don't think Fletcher was expecting the pass at all.
And it went too wide.
So Jordan Fletcher, it's come through to Damara Phillips. It was a hospital pass out wide. Intercepted by Dunbeholden. Here they come again.
Yeah, Stewart has been off it today, really off it. When he's in tight spaces, haven't been able to show the type of ball mastery that is required, and then from deep, the pass is just not accurate enough to link up with the runners. Rankin and Devontae Campbell awaits their entrance into the fold here.
Stewart. Fletcher. Jordan Fletcher. Couldn't find Bailey. And the changes are going to be made now.
Bailey, the wide player, haven't had much in this one. He goes out for Campbell.
Substitution therefore. Mount Pleasant out came number 12, Kimoni Bailey, and number 10, Dunbeholden Phillips.
And Rankin comes on for Phillips.
Number 7, Devontae Campbell, and number 5, Leonardo Rankin.
They have an excellent game against Dunbeholden in that.
Here's a chip inside the area, headed away by James, not too far out. It's with Jordan Fletcher. Fletcher straight into the hands of Hyatt.
Yeah, always favouring the left foot, Fletcher, just looking to shift it to make room. I was saying Rankin had a good game against Dunbeholden when they lost 3-1 just recently, but there, yeah, Fletcher just shifting it to the left, but the shot just too central. An area that was occupied by Hyatt.
Christian was a bit slight on the ball there. Here's Devontae Campbell, the youngster, playing it inside. Stewart's first touch was a heavy one.
Yeah, I was never going to get the time and space to get on to the end of that pass that he was looking to play to himself.
Here they come again. Doxley playing it forward, and the delicate touch from Fletcher.
Yeah, you felt Bygrave was just on his heels there. Wasn't a bad idea from Fletcher. And he knows it, Bygrave. When you have the defense that compact and narrow, it is plays like those little 1-2s, delicate touches into those half spaces that really will go a far way in unlocking the defense.
A bit off colour. They have been. Rankin looking for Campbell. Rohan Brown picks it up. Stewart. Rankin. Doxley. Lucky there. Shaquan Davis. Stewart.
Yeah, I needed to get that one under control much earlier, Stewart. It was a ball into that half space.
Well, here they come again. Devontae Campbell on it. Rankin. Ball played inside at the back post. It was McCullough. Sule McCullough with the opportunity there.
It was a lovely ball from Rankin. Really searching ball to that back post, and might just been put off by the defenders who jumped just in front of him there. McCullough, but still you expected him to do much better at that back post.
Rankin winning the header. Ball has come through to McGregor. Flag is up against Williams. Well, time for discussing the man of the match. I'm not sure how much of a discussion we'll have here. Well, one player who's down, Hyatt, Damien Hyatt, definitely in the discussion. Who are the other candidates?
Well, yes, you talk about Hyatt, yeah. We're going to go about it, I guess, the best way in terms of elimination. He's still having a smile. Peter Gull still knows that there's still a chance for his team in that next leg, or what time is left in this one. And a Hyatt with 4 saves, but I'm not quite sure that he has been tested enough by this Mount Pleasant team. Yeah, it was a shot that he was at full stretch. I think it was from Phillips early in this second half.
Well, what about Zakia Wilkes, who's been asked to play in a holding midfield area? And it's a rarity seeing him in that position.
I think he has done very well in that position, and really has stopped this Mount Pleasant team from really doing anything in front of the back line. As we see the confirmation there, 8 minutes of time to be added on. Mount Pleasant showing a lifeline here. But I think Wilkes has been very good in the middle of the park here for Dunbeholden, doing a lot to thwart the attacks of Mount Pleasant. And I think he has a strong hand up. Early in the encounter though, Stephen Williams was busy, was a threat. He provided the physical presences. In the end, he did get an assist with that miscued shot. Faded a little bit, but I think I'm leaning to Wilkes here, Donald, because this Mount Pleasant team in the middle of the park, they have a lot of quality and just was not able to dominate today.
Of course, Wilkes and Powell did work in tandem there, but we just feel that Wilkes, with what he was asked to do, primarily a centre-back, coming into that position, disrupting a lot of the players for Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, it provides a lot of energy inside there.
Morris feeds it out wide quickly. Campbell, now Campbell. Kimani to Devante. And I think a throw has been awarded in favour of Dunbeholden. James with a throw. Brown lost it. They move quickly. Mount Pleasant, Morris, Sule McCullough, headed away. Campbell to Rankin. Campbell sends it high inside the area. Hyatt punches it out. Mount Pleasant continue to press. McCullough. McCullough's ball inside the area, headed away. Oh, not convincingly, the clearance. Here's a shot from distance from Campbell, and the deflection helped Hyatt.
It's just extremely difficult for Mount Pleasant here. They're looking to go from side to side of this 18-yard box here, just trying to stretch this Dunbeholden defense, but they remain stubborn and steadfast, being narrow and compact, epitomized by that shot there that just couldn't find a way through because of the amount of Dunbeholden bodies in front there of the goalkeeper Hyatt. And on a day when Mount Pleasant have not been very in possession, not silky smooth, just cannot find a way through this blue brick wall.
And it's not as if Dunbeholden they have been sitting back. That hasn't been the case. There is no bus that has been parked here. Not necessarily.
I mean, no matter your style of play, there's some things that are just natural and should be a part of the play, and defending compact is a principle, and Dunbeholden, they have done that to perfection today. Christian, yes, has gotten a bit deeper since the second half and has really made it even more difficult. They have decided to give up a little bit more of the space to Mount Pleasant, and this man and his charges, Whitmore, have not been able to use that to their advantage. Not creative enough. And maybe just missing a beat, Donald. The fact that a lot has been said about their defeat to Dunbeholden in match week 26, and saying that it was arguably one of their best performances. If not, they brought back a lot of players. Maybe that disrupted, and they were just not able to replicate the possession and dominance that they had in that game.
Crowd growing all the time here at Sabina Park as they anticipate the second game. Know that this is being shown all across the world, and from the United States, in particular from Orlando and Phoenix. And all across the USA. I think we've decided to give it to Wilkes as man of the match.
Yeah.
You know, in another life, Parchment and Christian would have been best friends because they have pretty much the same demeanor. Best friends, I tell you. Anyway, free kick to Mount Pleasant. Can they get equalizer here?
And the good thing is that you said another life. You don't want anyone to go think that.
Here is the ball played across the area. The equalizer has come from their sub. It is Rankin. Leonardo Rankin is on the score sheet for the first time this season. And what a critical goal for Mount Pleasant, who are back level in this tie, 1-1.
Yes, Rankin, we spoke about him having a good game against Dunbeholden in that 3-1 loss, and we just was discussing the fact that maybe too many changes and they were unable to replicate that performance that they so talk about. And finally, Trevonte Stewart gets a pass right. His touch was good, and the pass across to Rankin, he just couldn't miss. And in the end, Thomas there, not pleased by his defense. It has been good so far in this one, but so often the answer to the puzzle sits on the bench. This occasion, Rankin. And what a time to get his first of the season.
It was at the right moment that the right man came into play. And Rankin may have done something absolutely wonderful for Mount Pleasant, who had little to offer. And they didn't know where the next opportunity would come from. And even if they would take it, but the opportunity came and they took it, and now they're level.
Maybe that's a lesson to the technical team from Mount Pleasant. You've had a good game, and despite what you call your first choice players were left out, you just have to go with what was on
that's a
display.
lovely run from deep from McCullough. Fletcher did well to find him. McCullough couldn't provide the quality ball that was needed there. And Williams with a touch over the defender. The play has been called back for high boot.
Yeah, whistle came late from Parchment, and Barrett and Ferguson and Whitmore were all up in arms here because Williams was bearing down on goal. Could they steal it here, Mount Pleasant? It would be more than they deserve based on the evidence of their play.
Sent long. And almost problems there. Watkin. Well, Hyatt is giving him a look. Wondering where on earth did that come from.
Yeah, miscue header there. And the self-destruct button almost pressed there by Dunbeholden. Almost gifting Mount Pleasant
another
the winner.
goal. Yep. Panic station setting in as Mount Pleasant looking for an unlikely winner. Not clear properly. Now they managed to do so, and that's the end of this one. Excitement at the very end. But Leonardo Rankin, the hero for Mount Pleasant, with a goal in the 90th minute. After Stephen Barnett had provided Dunbeholden the lead early in the second half. Both goals were easily taken, but this contest was far from a real battle between these two teams, and still nothing to separate them as they head into the second leg next week Monday. As we take a look at the full-time highlights here, Mount Pleasant had a couple of chances early on. Phillips sending this one long, and it was nodded behind by Stephen Williams, who was doing some good defensive work in the initial stages. Barnett with an effort that was well high. Then Kimani Campbell with the ball inside the area that Hyatt came out to punch. To be fair, we didn't see a whole lot of quality. Watkins' ball inside, that header well wide of the mark. This was good. Christian finding Dean Andre Thomas, and very RVP-like to make the connection, but Shaquan Davis with the parry. And Trevante Stewart with a powerful hit that was wide of the mark. Doxley to Hyatt, made a meal of it, but managed to hold on to it at the second attempt. Phillips going long, and Merrick attacking that one, scooping it over the bar. And then Phillips with a hit just seconds into the second half that Shaquan Davis had to make a save to deny him, and then the opportunity there for Dean Andre Thomas just evading the striker. Then Ricardo Thomas from way out, missing the target, and then Doxley didn't clear well. Thomas sending a dangerous ball inside. Williams sending it across. And it was put across the line by Stephen Barnett, who got his 9th goal this season. The first soft goal of the contest. And this one just wide of the mark. Really good looking hit there. Ron Brown touching this one inside to McGregor, who did well to make additional room for himself, and the shot though over the top. As this one sent inside the area. Chance for Stewart to send it across, and it's Rankin, the super sub, in the right place at the right time, putting that one across the line. That was equalizer, his first goal this season, Leonardo Rankin. And what an impact he made off the bench to disrupt Harold Thomas's plans. 1-1, the end of the story of the first leg. Dunbeholden had 11 shots, 2 of which were on target. Mount Pleasant had 5 shots on target from their 14 overall. 24 fouls were committed in a really physical encounter, which saw 3 yellow cards being flashed. Mount Pleasant had 1 more corner kick than Dunbeholden with 4. And they also had the majority of the possession, especially as they searched for that equalizer. Mount Pleasant, 54%.
Come again? Yes, you hear me? Zakia, you were asked to play in a defensive midfield position today, slightly out of your position, but you seem to have a very, very good game today. A lot easier than we would have expected. Was it really easy for you?
No, it wasn't so easy, because Trevante Stewart is a great player. At the right Bygrave is a great player. So coming out to the playing against them is a great lift. So what I do was just stay focused and put in work.
You had a partner beside you in Powell. How important was that to have him against this Mount Pleasant team?
Well, it's a great combination with me and him from last season to this season. So what we do, talk to each other more, communicate more, and that's what.
At the end there, conceding late.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Well, I feel bad about it because I didn't want him scoring none on me. I was a clean sheet I needed, but we just go on the workboard and come again next match.
A good game from you.
Thank you
Let's
very
see
much.
you next time around. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So Wilkes there, man of the match, was doing a little housekeeping before. Coach, it came late in terms of the equalizer, but it seems like the setup was a master stroke from you. I mean, what do you make of your overall team performance?
Well, I'm very pleased with the boys. They responded well today. It's something that we've been working on the training pitch all week. But we know what this Mount Pleasant team had to offer, and we came here to counter it, and we did extremely well. It was just unfortunate that in the last minute we could not have held our composure and kept that 1-0 lead.
It was late you conceded. Do you attribute this to anything to do with the fact that you played a link-up semi-final game on Friday?
Well, I'm not sure, but it could have been. We've been training hard, plus we play a game on Friday gone and then come here to play less than 72 hours. Yeah, it take a toll on the legs, but nonetheless, the boys made us proud today. They responded well to coaching, and I'm quite pleased with how they played today.
What do you see from this encounter that makes you feel that come the second leg, you have the beating of this team?
Well, it will come. It's just the first half, so just watch next week and we'll see what we have to offer.
Okay, we'll be watching for sure. All the best. So, Dunbeholden looking like they won this one, and in the end just stolen from them by this man's team. Coach Whitmore, maybe a lesson learned there. There was a lot of talking that that 3-1 loss to Dunbeholden was one of the best performances from Mount Pleasant in open play, but then you brought back in the 5 changes. Maybe that's something that you ought to look at going forward?
Well, there's nothing to be really panic about this afternoon. It's a 2-leg quarterfinal, Luckily we came back, drew the game 1-1, so we still have another tie.
It was a compact and narrow Dunbeholden defense line. They really did well with those 2 holding midfielders in front of the back line. Not creative enough, you feel, your team?
Well, yes, when we brought in a Fletcher and a Bygrave, then we start to push back the Dunbeholden team. We didn't create a lot of chances with a Trevante Stewart up front to get the ball to him. and he didn't have any support. You know, so it's something, again, it's something we have to look on going into the next leg.
Talking about looking at going into the next leg, apart from that, how do you get this Mount Pleasant team to really fire?
Well, again, as I said before, it's a two-leg game. You know, they know the task at hand, nothing to worry about. And I think come next week, Monday night, you'll see a different Mount Pleasant team.
Well, we're hoping to see that.
All right, thanks, Jerry.
There you have it.
So, Dunbeholden, Mount Pleasant, 1-1 after 90 minutes. Still all squared. Heading into the second leg quarter-final next Monday, right here at Sabina Park.